money. Money, 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 money. Are you familiar with this? Have you seen one of these before? Do you know what this is?
Is that?
Are you familiar with this? Or are you?
Who is that?
This is
Andrew Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're familiar with this?
I'm only.
Do you know what this smells like?
I only know
Do you know what
Benji's.
this feels like? You're like, I don't recognize
Yeah,
that.
I recognize that
but
one.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've
Held it.
dealt with this.
Oh.
It feels interesting.
You wash your hands.
I'm sure you're familiar with this.
Yes. Is that your actual? Wait, is that your actual card?
Yeah, why?
Cause you just fucking put it.
No, I covered it.
Oh, okay,
I don't have any money, so it doesn't matter. Back
Just
to
deposit,
the
please.
topic at hand.
Okay.
I'm just saying the difference, right? We're talking about money.
Yeah.
And it's right. These two things are the same,
For sure.
but with currency, the value of currency makes me think of when you go to a different country, this is worth something different over there
Yeah.
for $1 here. Like the dollar value is different in different countries. And dude, it's just crazy how if I'm trying to make a transaction with you, we're going based on this piece of paper.
Yeah. The full
It's
faith and
literally-
currency of the United States.
Right. And it goes into, we're going to get into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Not too deep into it because I don't know much about it, but I'm saying how
Yeah.
we come up with an agreement that this means
It's evil.
let's talk about it.
It's fucking evil. Well, in terms of like what it costs to
Doesn't
maintain
it say
value.
something about that? No. Oh, it just says in God we trust.
You know, we do some shady shit to uphold the value of the United States dollar, which you can either respect because it's a necessary evil in terms of like, you know, stabilizing the value in our currency against the world. But let me ask you something. In the world, when you are buying oil, oil, let me ask you, what type of currency can you buy it in?
Oil? I don't know. It sounds like a trick question, but I'm just going to go with like either money or
Generalizing. No, you
Do
have
you
to buy it.
speak gold?
You have to buy it in United States dollar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were. I didn't know what you meant. I thought you meant how can you buy stuff, but
Oh,
this
no,
is
no.
another type of currency.
For sure. Yeah. It's
And how do we put a value on this material, this mineral,
Yeah.
this how it like? And I'm like, what's so special about this? Like,
It's
what is so special? But they're saying it's because it's
conductivity in the electronics, and electronics are increasing, so we need gold because it's resilient with conducting. There's gold pieces in.
what this is not gonna save me from an earthquake or a tornado. Or,
No.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, what's so special about this?
It's
Like,
an
how
agreement. It's just a valued agreement. See, if the world went into societal collapse tomorrow and the zombie apocalypse happened, or because
Yeah, what would we use to survive and to hold leverage?
trade, as this always has been,
Land.
land. If land is unusable, I mean, that really depends too. Again, a zombie apocalypse happens and no one really cares about the land because I can get land anywhere.
Right. Well, what is it? It's just like an apocalypse in general and with like food, but like you have a land at least that you live in and you can grow your own food kind of thing.
And even then, land. Do you know how the King Ranch acquired its land wealth?
Okay, let's talk about it because honestly, it's interesting you mentioned that because there's a slight in Yellowstone they talk about a little bit of it. But what do you tell me? Educate me because I don't know.
Go up to people and force them to off of it. So at that point, where does the land value come from if you don't have the means to defend what you have? If 100 people go to your home and you have an acre of land and there's nothing to defend you, then your land is worthless to you.
Right. I'm all about, I'm like just the currency. I'm just thinking, okay, why, like we put value in dollars and like I had to pay rent because it's the beginning of the month. And I could have paid online, right, or whatever, but I pay with cash. It's
I get
cash
it.
thing.
I get what you mean. A lot of people have that kind of like general consensus that money is it's just imaginary. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's just an agreed upon consensus. It used to be where money and monetary value was held in seeds or rocks or specific kind of emeralds or specific kinds of amounts of boxes and things. The problem with that is that you can only carry so much. So the easy thing about money is that it's manageable as far as like moving left and right and
Right.
transferring and everything. This is why the United States have invested heavily into making sure that oil, the commodity the world needs of everywhere, is only purchased by the United States dollar.
Interesting.
Which
because
is why they invaded a lot of countries. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I just don't want the government to be hearing these conversations.
It's
I'm kidding.
true, man.
No, you're right. No, and it's true. I'm totally not
you know
trying
that,
to take
though?
it. No, yeah, I did. So this
That
is
you
what.
can buy. Do you?
Oh
you
no,
can-
not the money part with the oil thing. I didn't know it was
So
had to be
imagine
American dollars.
the European nation, whatever British, Russia, whatever wants to buy oil from that
It
specific
has
country,
to be in American
they
dollar.
can only accept it American dollars.
That's I did not
so
know
you
that.
have to trade your currency for American dollars. Doing what? Increasing value in your American dollar. I don't.
That is crazy.
It's only a specific country, but unfortunately, that specific country, I don't know if it's Iraq. It's one of the Middle Eastern countries, but those countries produce the vast majority of the oil.
Well, I believe it's Iraq. That's why we went. There was a war because of it. So look, it's interesting that you're saying all of this because I also remember back a few years ago or whatever, and maybe even now, is that we were using other like that's why the gas price inflates and goes down and stuff, but because it's being imported, right?
Yeah.
And we're kind of like we live in Texas, and everyone thinks like, oh, the gas is way cheaper in Texas because there's so much oil, but it's like we are harboring our oil and we're purchasing other countries' oil and we're using that oil first.
Before we do our reserves.
Yep.
That's true.
That's what, so I'm like, it's
because Texans discovered fracking. That fucking exponentially put us on the map as far as like one of the biggest exporters also on Texas.
Can you elaborate a little bit on fracking?
Fracking?
Yeah, you mean
it's
like
a process of like blasting sand or water into cracks of the rock, exposing these pockets of like oil that otherwise
right.
were unreachable.
Right.
So that fracking process has allowed us to get access to these pockets of oil in our land.
Right. Okay. So we got the oil. We're doing the fracking,
and so that immediately puts us at the top.
Right. But
because
then
we
isn't it like
discovered a new way.
And isn't there a consequence to doing that to our climate? Isn't that like the big political issue? Not to get too political, but isn't there like
It's a whole other fucking topic, man.
But anyways, let's just stick to this.
Did you know we're in the coldest times of the Earth's history?
Let's not get into climate change.
Did you know that?
But I'm sure I do believe in climate change.
No, I do too. There's climate change all the time.
Right.
It has to.
It's so, but I don't want to get it. That could be another topic. Let's stick to the.
Fuck,
yeah,
man.
no, it's
I
good.
got to say.
No,
I
but
just asked you a question.
No, I like your question, but let's stick to this.
Okay.
I'm
fine.
aware of climate change, but let's just stick to the currency part and how it affects everything,
you're
right?
right.
It affects everything.
Tune in next week.
Right. For the next. If you
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
No, because I'm thinking about the oil, right? And how we think about value and it affects money. What do we use oil for other than gas to move our vehicles? Like, why is it like the thing?
Everything.
Like electricity, right? Because that's why they're like, oh, you could just use solar, solar panels, right? And then the windmills, right, to produce energy.
The vast majority of the world lives in parts of the world that don't get a lot of sun. Again, we're blessed in the United States because we get a lot of sun.
Yeah.
We get a lot of sun in a perfect amount of way. And most places are either uninhabitable because, like you said, they're mountainous regions or jungles and they can't put the amount of solar energy or wind energy. Our technology for solar and wind is not where it needs to be to exploit that.
Okay.
So that's why we rely on everything we do, which goes back to the Venezuela thing, though. We rely on so much technology, so much machinery that resides on fuel to feed our population. And the moment that's taken away is immediately equals to starvation.
Right. So that's what's my next
We've
question.
crippled ourselves. It's
right.
true.
I was going to say, so we're a slave to oil.
We are.
To the influence of oil.
It's
so
true. I mean, the other choice is something that a lot of people don't want to. We recording, right?
Yeah, it's right.
The other choice is people don't want to, understandably, is using nuclear energy, which is like fucking efficient as fuck.
And
like,
let's break it. Let's give me an
You
example.
know how much this can power? this amount of nuclear energy can power a golf ball size?
No, tell me.
It can power a submarine for fucking, I don't know if it's like 4 months or 2 months.
Sometime. So wait, okay,
A
so
submarine. Do you know how big a submarine is?
no, it's huge. I have never really seen one or been in one, but I
The size of a building, bro, with people living inside it, and fucking lights and showers and hot water and fucking radio technology and everything.
okay, so I understand the value of the oil and how we are essentially a slave to the influence of oil and what it does and sort of. I mean, people start going crazy when the gas prices go up. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. So now let me ask you this. Would you rather be a slave? Because we're always going to be a slave to something,
Yeah.
which is crazy, right? I'm not
Dependent, yeah.
and dependent when I don't mean like to. Yeah, I'm not gonna even bring it up. I'm just saying like a substance, I guess, in order to make the world go round, which is oil, right? But
Yeah.
then I'm thinking energy. I'm thinking that like a vehicle that runs on energy.
Mhm.
Are we better off relying on energy because it's free from the sun, or a fossil fuel, right? Because what's the reason? What's the terminology for oil? It's called because you can't reuse it. Reusable,
Non-reusable.
That's why there's value to
Kind
it.
of.
Because once you use it, it's gone.
It's hard to get it back. It takes a long time to
But
get
that's why there's value in that.
It's value in it because
It's like I forgot. It's like
it's just like the demand and
it's a fossil
supply.
fuel, right? But
Yeah.
because it
It comes from like dinosaurs and shit. Anything that's like pools of like decomposition that becomes energy. It's the reason why it's valuable is because honestly, the amount of energy density, it's pure energy basically. Oil and gas is pure energy.
okay.
That's basically what that is.
So dude, man, this is so interesting because I have family members who work in offshore oil rigs, right? Dude, this is how I'm imagining it. I'm imagining you dig a hole in the ground and oil, which I don't even know what it would look like. Is it black? Is it gas? Like it's black.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what comes out, or is there wait, but where did that come from? From bones of
from what do you call it? From fossils, from decomposition, from vast
Really?
pools of
just
dinosaurs.
How did we discover that could make
That's
a difference?
carbon dioxide. Oh man, I don't know about that whole whole thing.
That's just interesting where it comes from. Like, wait,
I
somebody
mean, industrialization for sure. We started with coal, first of all. The reason coal worked was because it created steam from water, and that steam would cause pressure buildup, and it would cause things to rotate and
for
make
the
things go.
train
Yeah,
railroads, right?
The same
Like
thing now happens with gold oil. Is now it's like actually energy, so you can ignite it, and it'll cause an outburst of energy reaction, which is
Okay.
how we're kind of harnessing it. It's
Okay.
a little bit dirty, non-refined way, but that's how we kind of. As far as how we came across that, I have no idea.
right.
But it is a thing.
It's just a crazy thing that we discovered that, and we're leveraging it, and
It's a fucking oil game, man. And that's what drives it, because unfortunately that is security at the end of the day when it comes to nations. You know, the what you have secured of what you don't need and what you need is what defines you as a dependent or independent country. If your country is dependent on the export of 20 other countries, then that means that you're at the other country's whims, which is again why the United States invests heavily into the Navy to make sure that we are as independent as possible from influence, which again brings me back to these whole fucking derailments and all these things happening in the United States. A lot of people theorizing it is that we are at war right now and that we're getting attacks of what we think are just, natural things happening, but they're actually outside countries. I don't even know who to mention, maybe China or Russia, right? But that they're attacking our infrastructure and causing these things to happen, to cause these mass kind of things, disruption in our country. Because it's not just the world we're living in today is not revolved around conventional war, marching in, and that is inevitably dooming the entire planet, which is counter-effective to everything. So what you do is you go into a country and destabilize it. And how do you do that? By attacking its infrastructure that will cause its own country to kind of shake and shit.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Oh, we won't know for years.
Right.
For
It could be
years.
like the under people in terms of technology
Yeah.
and information and data.
Oh yeah. Oh, huge. It's all information war, man. So I'm saying like that shit that happened in Ohio, right? Was it Ohio?
Yep.
That's fucking crazy. Did you see the cloud and everything?
I honestly, if I'm being honest, I didn't even look into it. I just heard about
It's
it.
fucking bad. It's very bad. They're calling it the United States Chernobyl.
It's crazy because the crazy part about it is okay. So it's interesting that you bring it up, and I don't want to go too into the conspiracy, but just because we just briefly, let's do a little quick thing. But one of my coworkers, because I work remote, lives in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And they lived like maybe an hour away.
No way.
And they said that it was like they were trying to sweep it under the rug first.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to, it was like
It's not a
trying
big
to
deal.
hide it. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
trying to minimize it.
Yeah.
For someone who lives an hour and a half, 2 hours away, to not even know so much about it,
Yeah.
and then until it like had this crazy breakthrough. But I don't even feel like it was talked about enough.
No, it's not. And they're just talking about it because more people are realizing it. But what happened was very heavy.
Okay,
Something that could
talk
be
about because I
seen-
don't even know, and I feel like I'm now a little bit curious. If you could just give me a summary of like what the situation is.
Regarding the specific chemicals, I'm not aware of. I know I've saw a lot of videos on what the chemicals was. I can give you just a brief overview.
Give me
A
that.
train derailed, causing a huge chemical spill. Right. Talk about chemicals that was leaping into the river, the Ohio River. This chemical kills, like, it's very, very toxic. Like, it would kill the fucking fish in there. So the people who were managing the derailment, whether it's the same locomotive company that was managing it, mind you, there's been over the years layoffs as far as like train industry employees. So a lot of people are attributing the fact that this happened is because there's not as many people overseeing the proper safety procedures that are required in this, because these train companies are trying to make more money with less input. Obviously, right? They're trying to get profit.
Yeah. Which could happen, right? If people, I get it. Not machines can't do everything.
Yeah, no,
technology
machine-
can't do
they
everything.
have, I mean, we don't have the technology right now to have that oversight.
My
specifically.
question: do you know where what about these chemicals? Why were they being imported? What were they for? What was the intention?
So specifically, these types of chemicals is what makes like plastics and things
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
It
Like,
was
so
just
it's like
some-
normal stuff that needs to be.
the problem was that there was a derailment and that it got into the
It
water
spilled.
supply.
These guys said, "Let's burn it because that's going to be the best way to dissipate it." They start burning it. It gets into the clouds, a fucking like mile long, or I don't know how many miles long. You can see it from space. Dark black cloud over Ohio. It's just formed for I don't know how many days. It's just dark. It's fucking like it looked like it was about to rain heavy.
It's crazy.
But that's chemicals. People were saying that they were having problems breathing. Their throats itched. Their eyes would burn. They had like nasty feelings in their stomach. One of the girls, a lady who lived there with her kids, had to move away into a hotel because her kid would wake up in the middle of the night having like kind of convulsion likes, foaming and throwing up, and was crying because she didn't know what was happening to him. He was crying himself or whatever. And so they had to leave.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And so in New York, they were getting these rains there all the way from Ohio. They were saying that that's where they came, because wherever it would rain, they would leave these kind of like chemical rainbowy kind of shimmers in the water, where there's been chemicals or something. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. Like a little bit. It looks like oilish or whatever.
So for that area, Ohio, the United States is like this, right? Florida, California, right? Ohio's there, fucking this amount, reaching all the way to New York and some areas there. They were getting that amount of output, and they haven't talked about it now until recently. There's been a lot of news reportings and kind of investigations, because I guess the last thing anyone wants is to kind of speak without knowledge. And so I understand why there's been a lot of delay, because we have one company trying to hush as much as possible and trying to keep everything down because it's not convenient for the company to look bad, whatever reason, right? And then on the other side, you got these news outlets that, again, don't want to come out as just people just saying shit.
Right,
So
because
they
you don't
have
want to get panic to people and communities if you don't know exactly what the facts are.
Or you don't want to misinform or misinterpret anything. So I understand why there was that kind of hesitation. A lot of people from Ohio were saying that the local news was kind of keeping up to it very good, but that the governor and the mayor were just kind of like pretending like, no, we have it under control and the water's drinkable. And at one point someone while they were interviewing them in the actual city, they were saying, here, get a drink of the water, and they said no. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna look a little bit more into it.
Me too.
It's just sometimes there's so much going on in the world and news, and I understand you do have to be informed,
Yeah.
but then it's also sometimes really heavy, and I'm like, dude, I don't need that on the.
No, I don't
mental.
look at
You know what I'm
killings.
saying?
I look at like massive.
Well, yeah, but
things.
then it makes you think. It gets you a little bit paranoid. Like I would get me paranoid, thinking like, dang, if something like that happened, like you're like, was it intentional? Was it not? You said that the chemicals were related to plastic. I don't know how.
No, I said maybe.
Maybe,
I don't
right,
know.
that's
I don't know
right.
exactly the thing.
And if they were, let's say they were, that would be interesting because if it was connected to plastic and they burned it, think about plastic waste and the pollution that it
Oh
happens
no,
when
that
they
goes
burn it.
beyond say. That shit is fucked. Like fuck, dude. They're dead birds, dead fish, dead fucking deer. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like
It
complete
disturbed the whole
disregard.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, like I don't even want to get started with the whole thing, but like
Yeah, no, that's
the-
I think
Russia,
this is,
China, all of these places are on the brink of collapse in the next 10 to 20 years because of that population crisis. They know that.
back
Not
to the population crisis.
I'm telling you, it's connected because they know that. They
Oh.
know that's why Russia rushed into Ukraine because they need to find a way to support their country. That's what pushes them. So I wouldn't even like, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they had something to do with that derailment. Do you know what I'm saying? Because what are you gonna do with two nuclear superpowers? You can't wage war. You can't wage open war. So you need to find a way to kind of disturb something. It's very. The whole world is connected.
Right.
To
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, you're
everything is
saying-
an isolated issue is not.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
I
You
get
have
that.
to
I
think
get what
about
you're
it like
saying.
that.
Yeah, you're open to these situations that are happening, and there could be connections.
Could,
Or there
might, should.
might should could
Maybe.
have should have would have. Got
You gonna
it.
do one more?
Let's okay. So let's take a pause.
Okay.
Let's take a pause.
Let's do one more and call it.
Oh, okay, we can do it. I was gonna take a pause and do one more. Yeah, we can do one more.
Or do you want to pause? You still want?
Give me like 2 minutes.
Okay. You gotta take a shit.
No, I just gotta go to the restroom.